Good morning. Today is Haftes Iyar, Gvura Shebemalchus, the discipline that it takes to carry out things and to make them materialize, and the discipline that, the self-discipline perhaps, that a person needs to practice to bring out the malchus in the person themselves, or himself or herself, to bring up the royalty. Being royal takes discipline. And we are all b'nei melachim. So we should, B'ezras Hashem, use our power of gvura to strengthen, to structure, to give extra energy, extra power. Gvura is also extra power. Geshem gvurot. So we should invest extra power in actualizing the malchus, the leadership, the grace, the kingship, the royalty within our own selves. So we are holding on page Kuf Pei Tes, 9 lines from the bottom of the right column, the line that starts Umisached bo besachlis. We are talking about the evolvement of Koiches HaNefesh from Etzem HaNefesh as a mashal for the evolving of the spheros from Or Ein Sof itself. And we said that there are 3 stages. The first one is the way the Eser Koiches are implanted in Atzmus HaNefesh, which is a Gilui. Spheros are about Gilui, so it's about Gilui or Atzmuso. It's just the way the Etzem is revealed to itself, if you can say so. And it is higher, the Rebbe says, than being a klal to prat, so the general to details. It's higher than that. It's totally oneness. The second stage is the 10 koichos hagnuzim, in a manner of ratzon le-ratzon that we learn, which is how the nefesh goes out of its essential state towards something else, b'derech klal, in a very general way. And the third is the gilui of the 10 koichos bifrat, particularly, which is not ratzon to ratzon anymore, rather the ratzon prati, is a specific ratzon, a specific desire to a specific thing or in a specific expression. But still, it is yet higher from a kli. We are talking about ratzon. Ratzon is keser. So we were talking about or before yet. Even the third stage is before the or is invested in the keli, in the vessel. Rak b'chinas or bilvad. And only then comes the blending or the merging of the light into the keli, from chokhmah and dam and below. Now, we said that the gilui haratzon haklali, this is all again a second review, the gilui haratzon haklali, which means the revelation of the desire for worlds bichlal, or the ratzon haklali, which means the desire of the person, the tendency, let's put it this way, and the desire for whatever it is, whether it is kindness or wisdom or art or anything, or connect, bonding, whatever it is, there is a certain desire, authentic desire, which is not particular at all. It doesn't have a particular expression yet. It's a tendency of the person and the personality that is very much an expression of oneself and one's essence. And this is called Ratzon LeRatzon, or Raivin, they call Raivin, the desires of all these, desire of all desires, the core desire. And this, the Rebbe said, is still very much a Gilui Atzmi. It's a very self kind of expression, and it's very much resembling the Etzem HaNefesh, the Nefesh itself. Now that's the second stage. The third stage, again, is the Gilui of a Ratzon Prati, of a specific will or desire. And that, in that case, like if a person tendency is for kindness, so at this point he will want to express the kindness in a specific way. Okay, it's not going to be general anymore. It's going to be a desire to a specific expression or manner of expressing or kindness or giving, whether it's spiritual or physical or emotional or social, whatever it is, it will be a specific expression of kindness. This is not the Ratzon to the Ratzon anymore. This is a Ratzon itself, Ratzon Prati. And this Ratzon Prati already will come with Shinui HaMahus. The nature of this Ratzon will go through a transition, change, if I can say, and will become now not a general tendency to kindness, but something that is Shinui HaMahus. Maybe, as I said last time, to bake a cake for a person who needs to be encouraged, or maybe it will be giving money to someone, maybe it will be teaching, maybe it will be giving love, or contributing to an organization, or whatever it is. So this is the way the general Ratzon is revealed Bedavar Prat in a very specific manner. And this is Davar Chadash that wasn't in the Nefesh itself yet. It's something new. But in truth, the Rebbe says, even though it is Shinui HaMahus, but really it is still not a real change, in the sense that it is still an expression of the tendency of the Nefesh for kindness in this example. And it wouldn't deviate from it. It cannot be a wish to do something cruel. And the Rebbe said you cannot deviate. In terms of the specific Ratzon, it will never deviate from the general Ratzon, from the general tendency, in this case to kindness, or if it's wisdom, is for intellect, or whatever it is. So if a person is kind, the specific Ratzon will be a Ratzon for kindness, something. And if a person is unkind, the specific Ratzon will be not kind, will be the opposite, will be cruel. Okay, this we all went through last 2 times. When can a person actually change his mannerism to be could be even in opposite to his nature? That can only happen from Chokhmah and below, which means with his intellect he can choose to do something which is opposite his nature, not with his will. You cannot want something which is opposite of your nature. With your sechel, you can actually instruct yourself that you should. But with your Ratzon, the Ratzon always stays loyal to who you are, to what your tendency is. Okay. So what is it a proof? It's a proof, the Rebbe says, that as long as you're on the level of Ratzon, it is a Gilui of Atzmos HaNefesh still, and unites with the Nefesh, misached with the Nefesh. So as long as you are on the level of Ratzon, it's still connected to the Nefesh itself, and unites with attached to the Nefesh, unites with the Nefesh, umisached bo besachlis, as we ended so far, nine lines from the bottom. And it unites with the nefesh completely. Okay. But yet, the Rebbe will answer our question still when there's a big difference between and a big change between the tendency for kindness and maybe the act of baking a cake, for to give to someone. It's a huge change. So the Rebbe says, "Uma she'anu ro'im bo hischalkus pratis." What we see that the ratzon now is divided to a very specific will to do this or to do that, whatever it is, or to experience this or that, הוא רק מצד המשכסו לדבר נבדל. It's only because now you have to extend your desire for kindness to a specific separate things from yourself. You need to address someone or something else in order to express kindness. And for that sake, שזהו בדרך הסלבשוס לבד. So in this case, you need to invest and to enclose, הסלבשוס, your tendency for kindness, your desire for kindness, in a specific part, in a specific detail, and therefore it will look like now it took on a different shape. It's not a general ratzon for kindness, it's about baking a cake. But it's the same kindness that is now invested and expressed and manifest through baking a cake. So it's not a real change. אבל לא שהוא בעצם מציאות פרטי. Not that it itself has its own metzius. The baking cake has its own, its own metzius independently of the person's tendency for kindness. It doesn't. It's just an expression of his kindness. והדוגמה לזה הוא מבחינת מראה וגוון. The example for it is, let's say you take an apple. The color of the apple internally and externally will indicate if the apple is ripe and sweet or not. So the Rebbe will say that the color of the apple, in this case, let's say outside it will be completely red, and inside it will be not green anymore, but it will be white. Then you know that it is sweet. Really, there is no connection between sweetness and the red color or the white color. It's just a very intimate indication. One is attached to the other. The white color inside is an expression of the sweetness, and the red color outside is an expression of the ripeness and the sweetness of the apple. So this is what he will say. אף על פי שהוא נראה בבחינת נבדל מעצם המהות, even though the color of the apple looks very separate from the apple itself. What is the connection between red or white color to the sweet apple or not sweet apple? כמו גוון לבן שאינו שייך כלל לעצם המסיקוס, like white color inside the apple that is not at all שייך to sweetness. Sweetness can be from any color. It's not, sweetness and color are two separate things. Or אדום, or the red external color of the apple. זהו רק לעין הרואה, או לנפש המרגשת בלבד. So the fact that the apple will look sweet, this is just to the eye of the one who looks at the apple, or the nefesh that experiences, the person who is relating to the apple, that will be an indication to the person. אבל באמס הוא גילוי עצם מהות המסיקוס או החמיצוס. But in truth, even though there is not apparent direct connection between the color and sweetness, nevertheless, in this case, you see that the mesikus or chamitzus, which means, I'm in the top of the left column, the sweetness or the sourness of the apple, depending on its ripeness, is really indicated, it's revealed through the color. So there's a very connection intimate connection between the color of the apple outside and inside and it being sweet or sour. And that means that in truth, it's gilui etzem mahus hamesikus o chamitzus. It's the gilui, the color of the apple reveals the sweetness or the sourness of the apple itself. וראיה ממה שלא יהיה היפוכו כלל, כמו גוון לבן לחמיצוס. And the proof is that you will never have this apple white inside when it's still sour. You will never see that an apple is white inside if it's not ripe yet and it's still sour. It will only become white inside when it's sweet. וכך הוא גילוי הרצון מבחינת הרצון לרצון הנקרא רייבין דרייבין. And so too is the intimate connection between a specific רצון for something, or for doing something, or for experiencing something, and the general רצון, רצון לרצון. One reveals the other. The fact that you want to bake a cake, it's not, even though it looks so separate from being kind. Bake could be like any chef can bake. What's shayach baking to kindness? But in this case, you see that it is an intimate revelation. The baking of the cake, in this case, is an intimate revelation of the kindness, or a direct revelation of the kindness of the person. So the ratzon is a revelation of the ratzon of a ratzon, and wouldn't deviate, wouldn't go the opposite. אך מכל מקום, nevertheless, אף על פי שהרצון הוא בבחינת גילוי עצמי עדיין. Now let's look at the ratzon, which ratzon is keser, So even though the ratzon, the specific ratzon, means stage gimel, the third stage, is עצמי עדיין, which means it's still an expression of the self, the fact that he's kind. מכל מקום, כיוון שנגלה לבחינת דבר פרטי. Since now the general tendency is revealed to a specific will and desire to do something, or to a specific expression, so since it's revealed in a specific way, אין הסגלוסו מרצון הכללי, רק מבחינת אויסיוס שברצון הכללי. Where does the specific ratzon where does it reveal? From the general ratzon, from ratzon leratzon? Where does stage C reveal itself from stage B? Only from the last, or the lowest, or the most external aspect of stage B. That means the oisios of ratzon leratzon. Oisios is like the malchus. Oisios is how you concretize something. So the Rebbe says that the ratzon is revealed from the general ratzon only from the oisios of the general ratzon, from the last stage. In the principle will be here that the oisios of the higher one become the inspiration of the lower one. And you can say that maybe we will apply it later in the relationship between form and matter, between nefesh and guf. The oisios of the form become the DNA of the matter. The oisios of the nefesh become the DNA of the guf. Okay? So in this case, the oisios of the ratzon to the ratzon, which means stage B, become now the life force or the inspiration to the specific ratzon. They now become concrete. And what do oisios do? The oisios of ratzon leratzon, which means the ratzon haklali. We have ratzon prati and ratzon klali. Ratzon klali is Adam Kadmon, ratzon of ratzon. the second stage in Gilui HaKoach the Nefesh. The Ratzon Prati is a specific Ratzon to something specific. So that Ratzon Prati is revealed out of the Oisios of the Ratzon Klali, of the general Ratzon. Shehema, what do the Oisios do? The Oisios hema magbilim b'chinas Ratzon HaKlali u'ma'alimim oto. They are limiting, defining and limiting the general Ratzon, and ma'alimim oto, they conceal it. Like when you speak, you are the letters of speech are hiding the letters of thought. You know, they are hiding your whole machshava, your whole thinking, and now we'll express only one aspect of it in one way. So it's magbil, it limits the Ratzon HaKlali and concretizes and specifies it and conceals the rest of it. Ad שיוכל להישבוס בחינת רצון בפרט. So the general tendency to kindness, for that to be now mitztamtzem and concretized to a specific wish to do an act of kindness, that requires a tremendous tzimtzum. And that means to form a general to the prat, to the detail. And that requires a tzimtzum, which in this case, the revelation of a specific Ratzon comes from the Oisios of the general Ratzon. And the Oisios are magbilim and ma'alimim. They are limiting and conceal the general Ratzon. So a specific Ratzon can be revealed. However, these Oisios ve'enam nivdalim mi'etzem ha'or. These Oisios are not separate from the light itself of Ratzon leRatzon. They are not separate. They are part of it. Ki shorsham b'mekor ha'or. Because the shoresh of the Oisios of Ratzon leRatzon are really in the source of the light of Ratzon. In the source of Ratzon leRatzon. We will learn about it, the Rebbe says, soon in the next chapter, Chavtes 29. We'll learn about these Oisios, that even though the Oisios of Ratzon to Ratzon are the lowest aspect, but their source is high. Like a child, even though a little child, a baby or a child can understand many things, but he cannot speak yet. So the shorosh of Oisios is very high. In any case, to understand, the Rebbe says, uviu ha'efresh ben Oisios asmim uven Oisios she'enam asmim, to understand the difference between Oisios Atzmim and Oisios that are not essential Oisios, Yuvan al derech dugma, it will be understood for an example, as an example, mihefresh sheben Oisios hamishavim bereshis avrakas hasechel, שבלעדם אין לבחינת השכל מציאוס כלל, ובין Oisios ההסבר חולו ודל. Let's say you have an insight flashing in your mind. Okay? In order for any insight to reveal in your mind, you have to have Oisios. Without Oisios, nothing is revealed. Oisios reveal. So for you to know what's going on in your seichel, in your Chabad, you need Oisios. So the Oisios of the insight are flashing into your consciousness. But these Oisios are very subtle because they are not. The main thing is the idea, not the Oisios. You're not thinking about the Oisios. You are experiencing the truth of the insight. However, there is a difference between these Oisios when you are just experiencing the insight, the truth, and the light of the insight, of the idea that is flashing in your mind, and between when you have to explain the idea to someone else. When you have to explain the idea to someone else, these are not Oisios Atzmim anymore. The Oisios Atzmim, they were the Oisios that revealed the idea to yourself. The Oisios of not Atzmim is the way you use Oisios to explain to someone else. That is already external Oisios, is a lower level of Oisios. The Oisios of the flashing of the idea into your mind, the truth of it, the light of it, It has to have oisios, but the oisios, they are like all light. It's just revealing it to you. But then when you have to explain, you have to make the oisios much more concrete and much more coarse, megusham, and defined in order to explain it to someone else. So this is the difference between oisios עצמין and oisios שאינם עצמין. וזהו עניין סוף מדרגוס הצורה הרוחניס שמקושר אל תחילס הסהבוס החומר. And this is the spiritual principle in terms of ishtalshelus. When we go from level to level to level down, from higher level to a lower level, then sof madregos hatzura haruchnis, the lowest level of the spiritual form, is attached to the beginning of the merging of the matter. So the lowest oisios of form are connected to the beginning oisios of matter. Shehu b'chinas oisios de ratzon haklali, and in our discussion, this is the transition from the oisios of the general ratzon, ratzon to ratzon, ratzon le ratzon, from which nimshach ratzon haprati, that from there will be now drawn out a specific ratzon. Hanikra tchilas hisabus hachomer. This is called the beginning of the coming about of a concrete matter. We're not talking about physical matter here. We're talking about atzilus and higher. So we're not talking about physicality, but relatively, we are calling it matter, which means alluding to a keli. Okay? Vehine, the last paragraph on the left side of Kuf Peites. Now, the Rebbe now continues to conclude the mashal of the emerging of the powers of the soul from the essence of the soul, all the way to the specific ratzon to express oneself in a certain way, which is very much a reflection of what and who the person is and what his tendencies are. This is the mashal that will reflect the evolvement of the spheros from Or Ein Sof. So now we are concluding the mashal. Vehine, now, says the Rebbe, kefi hanal, this is also the Rebbe's oisios in the explanation of Rabbi Hillel Paritcher. והנה, now, כפי הנ"ל בגימל מדרגוס הנמשכים זו אחר זו, מעצמוס הנפש. According to what we learned so far, the way the three stages are, in terms of one is drawn out of the other from the essence of the soul, three stages of the kochos hanefesh, the way they are in the essence of the soul, the second stage that they are coming about in a klal way, ratzon leratzon, and the third stage when there is a specific ratzon, a specific will to express in a certain way. עד שנמשך אחר כך, until this light and energy from the essence of the soul is now drawn to be merging mezigas achayus hanefesh, the nefesh, bivchinas chomer hamoach. Until now we got to the last stage, in which is like the fourth, I don't know, it's three stages, but now out of these three stages, when from the essence of the soul emerged a specific desire to experience something specifically, then comes the blending of this energy from this nefesh, the nefesh energy, bivchinas chomer hamoach, in the matter of the brain. So let's say there is a how shall I say, a tendency of the nefesh for wisdom and for understanding, right? There is a potential of the nefesh, of etzem nefesh, to be nefesh hamaskeles, a nefesh that is aware and understands and figures out, right? So this has to happen eventually. In order to really materialize, it has to happen in the brain. It cannot remain in the nefesh. Nothing happens if it remains in the nefesh. In order for the person to experience what the nefesh experiences, it has to merge with the body itself. In this case, we're talking about his chakmus. Let a person, an idea, wants to have an idea and to understand something and to figure out something. It has to happen in the interaction or through the interaction between the soul and the brain. So, Homer Moach, Venikra, his chakmus. Now, when this power of Chokhmah, let's say in this case, from the nefesh, the spiritual power of Chokhmah, from the nefesh, is now blending, emerging, and being invested in the brain, now a person is experiencing his chakmus, which means an idea comes up in his mind. He is now becoming aware of an idea. Ken hu bivchinas hamidos shebalev. So just as it is regarding chokhmah or bina, the Rebbe says, in order for you to become aware of something, to understand, to experience something in your mind, in your consciousness, in your conscious mind, the nefesh, the koach ha-chokhmah or koach ha-bina have to interact with your brain. If it's chokhmah, with your right side of your brain. If it's bina, the power of bina from the soul has to merge with the left side of your brain. And so Chabad will be revealed in your brain, and you will have an idea coming up in your mind. But the Rebbe says that the same thing happens with all koachos hanefesh, which means the midos of the heart, midos shebalev as well. כי אף על פי שמצד כוחות הנפש מקבלים זה מזה, that even though the way the כוחות הנפש evolve consciously in the experience of the person, the כוחות הנפש evolve one from the other. First is chokhmah, you have an insight, and then you understand it and you formulate it in bina, and then it goes down to your heart and you have a feeling towards it, and eventually through the kaved, through the liver, the nehi, and malchus, it will become a behavior, or you will do something about it or not. Okay, so in terms of the operation of koachos hanefesh in the conscious person, there is a ishtalshelus. One evolved from the other, one is revealed from the other, following the other. However, this is regarding the koachos between themselves, the way they are revealed in the person, in the conscious person. However, in relation to עצם הנפש, כי אף על פי שמצד כוחות הנפש מקבלים זה מזה, even though in the relationship between the koachos, one receives from the other. That means that bina receives from chokhmah, and midos receive from bina, and malchus receive from midos. ונקרא חוכמה ראשיס הגילוי לגבי הכוחות שמחוכמה ולמטה. And regarding the relationship between the koachos themselves, there is the chokhmah will be considered the reishis hagilui. Chokhmah is the beginning of revelation, right? Every revelation, human manifestation, human behavior begins with chokhmah. It all begins with a certain idea that popped up in your mind, whether you want it or you're working on it or not, whatever it is, and what you'll do with it, that is shtalshelus from koach, to bina, and then to midos and to maaseh. However, legabe atzmus hanefesh, if you relate each koach of the nefesh, whether it is mental or emotional or practical, if you relate them to the etzem nefesh, if you look at the relationship between these koachos, each one of them, to the nefesh itself, to the etzem nefesh, גם to עצמוס הנפש, גם המידוס מסהבים ממנו בבחינס רשיס, כמו החוכמה. The midos are coming out of עצם הנפש just as chokhmah does. So if there is kindness in the Etzem, if there was a Chokhmah in the Etzem HaNefesh, or in the Etzem HaNefesh it wasn't Chokhmah, it was the ability to generate Chokhmah. It was the possibility to generate Chokhmah. So it's emanate Chokhmah. And so too, in the Etzem HaNefesh, there is also the possibility to generate kindness, or to generate cruelty, or to generate endurance. Each one of the koiches, the midos, are also there, implanted in Etzem HaNefesh. And therefore, in relation to Etzem HaNefesh, each midah is also called Reishis, is a beginning from its shoresh in Etzem HaNefesh. Bivchinas Reishis, in the manner of it begins there in Etzem HaNefesh. Kemo HaChokhmah, just as Chokhmah is beginning in Etzem HaNefesh, in the ability of Etzem HaNefesh to emanate Chokhmah. And why you don't talk so much about Ishtalshelus in Etzem HaNefesh? Because regarding to Etzem HaNefesh, each midah, even the midos shebalev, are like just as Chokhmah, because להיות החוכמה אינה תופסת מקום כלל לגבי עצמוס הנפש. Chokhmah is completely insignificant as a metzius in comparison to the essence of the soul. Chokhmah is non-existence in the essence of the soul, just as the midos are non-existence in the essence of the soul, and therefore, עד שלא תוכל להיחשב בבחינת אמצעי כלל. And therefore, Chokhmah cannot be considered in Etzem HaNefesh, it cannot be considered like a bridge between Etzem HaNefesh and the rest of the Kechos. It is completely non-metzius. It has no existence of its own, an independent existence in Etzem HaNefesh. And therefore, each Koyach emerges from Etzem HaNefesh in a manner of Bereshis, begins there. It's not mishtalshel from another koach, doesn't involve from another koach or evolve from another koach, because in the Etzem HaNefesh, none of the koaches, including Chokhmah, has its own metzius. When it comes to Atzilus, or when it comes to the revealed koaches in the person himself, when the nefesh interacts with the body, then yes, first Chokhmah and then Bina, and then one leads to the other. But in comparison to Etzem HaNefesh, each one emerges from Etzem HaNefesh by itself. ונמצא מובן ממילא שבחינס המידוס, חסד וגבורה, נמשכים גם כן בתחילה מבחינס חסד וגבורה שבעצמוס הנפש. So we find that just as Chokhmah is drawn first from Chokhmah of Etzem HaNefesh, so too Chesed and Gvura, to begin with, are coming out from Chesed and Gvura in Atzmus HaNefesh, עד בחינת Chesed וגבורה שברצון הכללי, until Chesed and Gvura in the רצון הכללי, ומשם לחסד וגבורה שברצון הפרטי, so the midos will be exactly like Chokhmah. It will begin in Etzem HaNefesh, then it will go to Chesed or Gvura in the Ratzon HaKlali, with the second stage, Adam Kadmon, and then it will be a Ratzon Prati, Keser, to something specific, Ad Sheyishaveh, until the fourth stage, even though there is a gap between the three and the fourth, but after the three comes the fourth stage, when there will be Yishaveh Mezigas HaChokhmah, Chesed u'Gvura, Balev Mamash, when the Midos Chesed and Gvura will actually blend with the heart, with the physical heart. Bederech or bekli, in a manner of or in a kli, light in a vessel, until and including Ratzon, even Ratzon Aprati, there is only or, there is no vessel yet. After that, when it blends with the Keli, then we have the actualized power in the person's experience. V'chenu b'vchinas koach ha'maaseh. And the same thing in koach ha'maaseh, that even though in the revealed way, when the Koichos blend with the body. The Maise is the last one in the Ishtalshelus of the powers of the Nefesh that began with Chochmah and then Bina and all the way down to Maise, to Malchus. However, in relation to Etzem HaNefesh, Maise is derived from Etzem HaNefesh just as Chochmah does. There is a power of Maise on a state of implanted, and there's a possibility to be generated from Etzem HaNefesh, and then it becomes the second stage, the Rason Klali, and then it becomes this specific desire to do something, and then it will blend with the guf, and then a person will do something. So the same process from Etzem HaNefesh applies to each and every koyach. Even though begilui by in our personality, nefesh in guf, one is mishtalshel, one is evolving from the other. That was the conclusion of the mashal. Umeata, and now, yesh lehavin zot lemala. We have to understand this mashal, this metaphor and analogy, how it is above. Dehine mevoar bilshon hamekubalim. It is explained in the expression, in the language of the Kabbalists. Sheyesh, next page, that there are, page 378, Eser Sphiros Hagnuzos, Bivchinas Ein Sof. There are 10 spheros that are hidden and concealed in the infinite. And they have no independent materials, their existence there at all. That's the Etzem. That's Bibchinas Ein Sof. That is called, they are called Eser Sphiros Hagnuzos, Bibchinas Ein Sof. The 10 spheres, the way they are concealed and hidden in the infinite light of Hashem. Ulemata mihem, lower than them, hem eser spheros hagnuzos bivchinas hakeser. These are the 10 spheros that are concealed and hidden in a manner of keser. Meaning, okay, let's just read inside. Ukemevuar bepardes, as it's explained in the pardes of Rabbi Cordovero, Venikra b'shem tzachtzachos shebakeser. In Kabbalah, they are called the tzachtzachos shebakeser, v'tzachtzachos shebe'ein sof. Tzachtzachos is hard to explain. It means like shining, glittering, sparkling, pure sparkling. These are the sparklings of the spheros on the level of keser. כמבואר בפרדס, it's called צחצחות שבקסר, and it's called צחצחות שבאין סוף. Now, the Arizal, which we follow his terminology, קרא לצחצחות שבקסר בשם אק. The Arizal called the 10 spheros of Keser, that what the Reb Moshe Cordovero calls in the Sefer Pardes Rimonim, צחצחות שבקסר, the Arizal is calling it Adam Kadmon, the 10 spheros of Adam Kadmon, that's the second stage. וביאור העניין, להיות ידוע שאור אין סוף הוא פשוט בתכליס. And the explanation is as follows. It's known that Or Ein Sof is, as its name is, it's an infinite light. That means that it's pashut betachlis, it's completely plain. Not compound, it's completely complete oneness, an ultimate plainness. בתכלס הפשיטוס ומושלל בתכלס מבחינס הגבלה וישחלקוס. Or Ein Sof is utterly simple and plain, and it is negated from any limitation or any division of whatsoever, even the most subtle. It's complete plainness and oneness. But, אף על פי שהוא פשוט בתכליס, even though it's completely plain and completely simple, מכל מקום, משהו כל יכול להאציל. כל מיני חוכמה. Let's keep the parentheses for a moment. The fact that this infinite light is kol yachol, is omnipotent, is all able, is almighty, and it is also able, just as it is able of anything and everything, it is also able to emanate, skip the parentheses, the square parentheses, kol minei chokhmah. It is potentially able to emanate any, all, and every kinds of sorts of chokhmah. Nikra b'shem chokhmah shebe'atzmus. That is called chokhmah in atzmus. וכן מה שהוא כל יכול להציל כל מיני חסד. And the fact that Or Ein Sof is all able, is omnipotent, and therefore it is possible to emanate from Or Ein Sof any and every kind of chesed, of kindness, of hashpah, of giving, of bestowing. Nikra b'shem chesed shebe'atzmus chulu. It's called chesed in atzmus. Let's go back to the parentheses. So this Ein Sof is completely plain, and it is almighty and all able to emanate le'atzil ulivro. Le'atzil means to emanate, atzilus. And atzilus is connected with what sphera? Atzilus is what sphera? Chokhmah. Bria is bina. Yetzira is midos. Asiya is maise. Is malchus. So when the Rebbe is writing, is teaching us that Ein Sof, which is completely plain and not divided, but it is able, it is possible, and it is able to emanate Chokhmah. That means to emanate Atzilus, which is governed by Chokhmah. Atzilus is the world of Chokhmah. Ulivro, and to create. That would be what? To create is which world? Bria. Create is Bria. Bria means, bar means outside. To create means to create something outside of the self. To emanate is to extend the self. To create is to create something outside of the self. That's why it's called in Aramaic Bria. Bar means outside. And Bria is coming from Bina. Right? Bina is a Yesh. Chokhmah is still Ein. Atzilus is still Ein. Bria is Yesh. So Ein Sof is able to emanate and to create. Ulivro. Shehu inyan ha'ashpah mi'atzmus. This is a hashpah that comes from Etzem HaNefesh, that is able to create. Nikra koach hayecholet shebo. So this power of ability, the being able, there's no bria in Ein Sof, there's no atzilus in Ein Sof, there's no bina in Ein Sof, there's no chokhmah in Ein Sof, but there's an ability to emanate, and there's ability to create, and there's ability to formulate, that's yetzira, an ability to make in asiya. So this koyach hayecholet shebo, the power of ability, of possibility in the plane infinite, is called Beshem Eser Sphiros Hagnuzos Behelem Ha'atzmius. It is called the 10 spheros which are hidden in the hiddenness and concealment of Atzmius, of the essence of the infinite. So the essence of the infinite has in a very non-existent potential, even higher than potential, possible 10 spheros, which means to emanate, to create, to formulate. The 10 spheros means Chokhmah, Bina, Midos, and Malchus. Hainu mashu kol yachol le'atzil, that which he can, is all able, almighty, and therefore he could emanate all kinds of Chokhmah, which is called Chokhmah shebe'atzmus, and also mashu kol yachol le'atzil kol minei chesed. and that he can emanate all kinds of chesed. Nikra b'shem chesed shebe'atzmus. That is called chesed shebe'atzmus. Now, והנה, 10 kochos elu, hema b'bchinas ein sof mamash. These 10 spheros, these 10 kochos, when they are still in the essential state, they are in the manner of Ein Sof. They are part of the Ein Sof, mamash, infinite. שהוא עניין כוח ההספשטות שבאין סוף. That means that you can only find use the term Ein Sof when you talk about כוח ההספשטות of the essence. When you talk about koach ha'hispashtus, the power of manifestation, of extension in the essence, that you can call Ein Sof. There is no end to it. There is no limit to it. מה שאין כן באור עצמוסו המושלל מגדר hispashtus, which is not the case in the light of the essence itself. You cannot say that the essence itself is Ein Sof. You can only say infinite when you talk about manifestation or expression. It goes infinitely far. But when it doesn't go anywhere, you cannot say Ein Sof, because it doesn't go anywhere. It's not extended, it's not manifesting. So the term Ein Sof you can only apply to the power of a manifestation, to the power of extension, of revelation, whatever it is, that comes from the essence. But, says the Rebbe, it is not the case in the light of Atzmuso hamushlal migeder hispashtus, the way the etzem is negated from hispashtus yet, from extension or from manifestation, just completely in the essence itself. Lo yitachen shem ein sof, or sham ein sof. There you cannot, or you cannot apply the term Ein Sof, and there you cannot apply the idea of Ein Sof. כידוע בשם הרב המגיד נשמת האוהדים. As the Magid explained that Ein Sof we only apply to koach ha'hispashtus. It's not the essence, because essence doesn't go anywhere. Nevertheless, that's why we call it, the Mekubalim called it Or, because Or is already hispashtus. In any case, וזהו לסבונתו אין מספר. This is what it says, that to his tvuna there is no number, there is no end. וכולו. Or another pasuk, חסדי השם כי לא תמנו. From Echa maybe, one of them is from Echa. That, and one of them from Tehillim probably. חסדי Hashem, the kindnesses of Hashem, לא תמנו, you cannot count. Which means, at beginning it's all infinite. It's not defined. חולו. ועיין לאל בסימן י' ובספר גבורוס השם לבעל גור אריה. You look it up in סימן י' 10, chapter 10, the way the 10 spheros are gnuzos in the etzem, in Atzmus, Yachid. We learned in chapter 10, which I encourage you to review many times. And look also in the book גבורוס השם from the גור אריה, בהקדמתו בפירוש הקדוש ברוך הוא, when he explains the term הקדוש ברוך הוא, in the הקדמה he explains this, ותבין עניין זה היטב, and then you will understand it very well. והנה, now, so this is all stage A, right? Stage A is the 10 ספירות הגנוזos בעצמוס. These are the 10 spheres, the way they are in a state of a possibility. They have no metzius there whatsoever, other than the infinite essence. והנה אחר כך, after that, נמשך מן העצמוס בחינס מחשבה הקדומה. Stage B comes out from עצמוס the primordial thought, הנקרא בשם Adam Kadmon, which is called Adam Kadmon, or מחשבה הקדומה, the primordial thought that precedes all סדר השתלשלוס. שהיא בחינס מחשבה כלליס, it's a general thought, שצופה ומביט במחשבה וסקירה אחת, כל פרטי ההשתלשלות דאביה. That means Adam Kadmon is a general divine thought, and by the way, many times in Hasidus, when you use the term machshava, it doesn't mean machshava like we use many times, that the word machshava is one of the levushim, thought, speech, and action. It means will. Many times chashav la'asot means he wanted to do, he intended. It's machshava many times means ratzon, will, intention. In any case, this is the second stage, which is Adam Kadmon, which is called the machshava kduma, the primordial thought. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. שהיא בחינת מחשבה כללית, a general thought, שצופה ומביט, that scouts and scans and looks במחשבה וסקירה אחת, in one thought and one glance, one scan, כל פרטי ההשתלשלות, in one thought, like in a house. I want to have a house. All the details of the השתלשלות will be there already in the manner of klal, of a generality. But in one thought, it includes all the השתלשלות of Abiyah, of all four worlds, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. וכל התחדשות שהיה בהם ושיהיה, any occurrence that will occur in these worlds, in the past, present, and future. Vav alafim shnei dehave alma, throughout the 6 millennia, 6,000 years of the existence of the worlds. So anything that did, is, and will occur in Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, entire Seder Ishtalshelus, throughout the 6,000 years of the existence of the world, ועד האלף הזין, all the way to the 7th millennia, 7,000, the Shabbos, ועד בכלל, and including Shabbos of the world. So, Ak is machshava hakduma, is a primordial divine thought that includes all the details of everything that is going to happen in all worlds, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, from the beginning of creation to the end. 7,000 years. כל הפרטים הנכללים בהיעלם דמחשבה כללית זוס, all the details that are included in a concealed way in this general thought, נקרא בשם 10 ספירוס דאק, או צחצחות שבקסר. It's called the 10 spheros of Adam Kadmon, or as Rabbi Cordovero calls it, צחצחות שבקסר, the sparkling of the crown, the sparklings, the spheros, the way are mitznotzetz, the way they are sparkling in keser. כמו חוכמה דאק הוא מקור כללי להיות נמשך ממנו רצון להאציל. Like Chochma of Adam Kadmon. Chochma of Adam Kadmon is a general desire to emanate, because Chochma is Atzilus. וכן המשחס כללוס עולם האצילוס. And so too, the המשחה of the general המשחה of the world of Atzilus, הנקרא בשם חוכמה בדרך כלל, that is generally called חוכמה. Atzilus is called חוכמה, Bria is called Bina, Yetzira is called Midos, and Asiya is called Malchus. So, עולם האצילוס is בדרך כלל called חוכמה, נכללים בבחינת חוכמה דאק. All the pratim of Atzilus, the 10 spheros of Atzilus, the neshamos of Atzilus, the malachim of Atzilus, the asam, the world, the chalos, the chambers of Atzilus, all that will happen in Atzilus is in prat, b'derech prat specifically, is included in a derech klal, in a general way, in Chochma of Adam Kadmon. ועל דרך זה הרצון לברוא. But again, the Chochma of Adam Kadmon, I'm just saying that remember, we're talking about different levels of Ratzon. So Adam Kadmon is the Ratzon for a Ratzon, and Keser will be the specific Ratzon. So in this case again, we have the Tzachos, which means the 10 spheros of Adam Kadmon. Okay? So the way the 10 spheros are in Adam Kadmon is a very makor klalid, it's a general, each one of them is a bederech klal, very general, but that includes all the pratim that will unfold. For instance, I'm repeating, Chochma of Adam Kadmon is a general source from which the Ratzon to emanate comes, and from which, and that is the source that will include everything and anything that will be revealed in Atzilus, which is called Chochma. Atzilus is called the world of Chochma. Bria is called the world of Bina. But in Adam Kadmon, they are there b'derech klal. When you think of a house, you don't think yet of the bathroom and the everything that will happen in the bathroom or in the bedroom, and that will have this mirror, and that flooring, and that color, and that paint. It's all there, but b'derech klal. It's a house. It's all there. It will include all the rooms you will put in, all the kitchen, everything will be there to the last tile. But b'derech klal, it won't be specific there yet. Just a house. So all the details of the world of Atzilus will be included b'derech klal, in a general form, b'bchinas chochma de'ak, in the level of chochma of Adam Kadmon, which means the desire to emanate. Ratzon leratzon to emanate. chochma. ועל דרך זה, and likewise הרצון לברוא, כל לברוא, and likewise the will to create, the will to create, וכל פרטי עולם הבריאה, and all the details of the world of בריאה, starting with the Chabad of the בריאה, the Kodesh HaKodashim of the בריאה, and then down to the Malchus of בריאה, and then from there will be created the Malachim of Bria, the Neshamos of Bria, the Malachim of Bria, the Heichalos, the chambers of Bria. Everything will be, and there will be millions and millions of sub-worlds within each world, within Bria. Millions of millions, uncountable worlds, and within worlds. Everything is originating in the helem of Bina of Ak. And everything that is included in the world of Bria is included b'derech klal in a general form in Bina of Adam Kadmon, in the concealed Bina of Adam Kadmon. וכמבואר בעץ חיים, I'm finishing. As it's explained in Eitz Chaim of the Arizal, the Chag Sam, which means Chesed, Gvura, Tif'eres, and Malchus, all the Midos. Chesed, Gvura, Tif'eres, which includes all the Midos in it. And Malchus de'ak, Na'asa Makor Ledaled Oilamos, is becoming the source of all four worlds. Because the Midos are the source of the worlds. We'll stop here. So all the spheros of Adam Kadmon are the general source of the four worlds.
In the freezer.
Okay? Any questions or comments?
Hannah.
Yes.
So we're still only now in Klal. We haven't come to Prat yet.
Yes. And we're talking about even the Prat of Ratzon. We're not talking about actualize. It's all on the level of Ratzon. Nothing is happening yet in actuality. It's on the Ratzon 4. Now we're on the second stage, Ratzon le Ratzon. It's a general Ratzon, not a specific yet.
So until we come to Chokhmah, we have no Prat yet.
We are all,
Once
it's blima. Until Chokhmah, it's no Metzius, it's blima. The spheres are yet not concrete. Don't have a Metzius yet. It's all or. Only when it comes to a Keli, it has its own Metzius. Then the spheros are revealed fully in Atzilus, each one by itself.
So once we come to Atzilus, we're already in Prat.
In Chochmah, yes.
In Chachma.
In the actualized of the Ratzon, of the specific Ratzon. Now we are talking first about the three stages of Atzmus, Ein Sof, Ein Sof itself, Adam Kadmon, and Keser, which is
Where did the Iseus start?
in Malchus, in the Oisios, in Malchus of Adam Kadmon.
In Malchus of Adam Kadmon. That's where Iseus are formed.
Well, this Malchus of Ein Sof too.
But there's no, are there Iseus in Malchus of Ein Sof?
Yes. That's what Malchus is. Malchus is Oisios. What does it mean, Malchus of Oisios in Ein Sof? Hashem could emanate. Malchus of Ein Sof could be Ein Sof Spheros. Hashem could emanate or create any Seder Ishtalshelus. Doesn't have to be 4 worlds. Doesn't have to be these types of worlds. Doesn't have to be 10 spheros. Can be 10 million spheros and can be different ones. Doesn't have to be Chochmah, can be Yupitz. I don't know what to call it. So Malchus of Ein Sof, before the Tzimtzum, is the ability to emanate any worlds. But it's still Oisios already. It's the ability to create worlds, to emanate and create worlds. Or it's called also Alos HaRatzon. We will talk about it. When the will comes up of Hashem to have worlds. So Malchus is always Oisios on that level. But here we're talking between, right now we are calling Oisios because from Adam Kadmon, you can start talking about Kalim. Before Adam Kadmon, there are no Kalim. When Adam Kadmon is the beginning of Kalim, but, let's put it this way, before the Tzimtzum, before Adam Kadmon, there is no separation between Oros and Kalim, between lights and vessels. It's all one. In Adam Kadmon, there is a beginning of separation between lights and vessels, but the vessels are battle to the lights, completely battle. Then below Adam Kadmon, there is a process of the Kalim are less and less battle to the light, beginning with Akudim, the bind, which means all the spheros are already bind in one Keli. The Keli, it's not 10 yet, 1, but it's not as battle to the light as in Adam Kadmon. Because in Adam Kadmon, the Keli is totally battle to the light. It's separate but battle. In Akudim, there is one Keli, all 10 lights in one Keli. And eventually, in Atzilus, is 10 lights in 10 Kelim. And now there can be a merging of Oros Bekelim, and now you have a real Sphira that has a Metzius and before that, it's just light. It's no Metzius yet. We'll talk about it. But right now it's important to understand the 3 stages. And we will finish the Nimshal next time, Be'ezras Hashem, and go into the chapter itself in the Maimar. So it will be easier to just read through the chapter 28 and understand Be'ezras Hashem.